Builders know that the world doesn't change because a few people become famous. They know that the world will change only when millions of women quietly build families, communities, businesses, schools, and people who make the world better. This podcast is for those women. This podcast is for you. Hello, friends. It is your friend Lizzy, and welcome back to another episode of the Lizzy Jensen Show. Today, we are shifting gears and pivoting to something I've been teasing at and talking about in the last few episodes, and I'm excited to be where we are. And today's going to be a little bit like a chapter book. We have like 4 different chapters we're going to be pivoting through as I give you some updates, I share some exciting news, and tell you a little bit about the future of the podcast for the rest of this season. So first, I want to just start with kind of where I see us being here on the podcast. I think it's time for a little bit of a level set. We've just done our 3-part series on missionary work, which, as you know, was a bit of a divergence from the normal content that we have on this podcast and who I normally speak to, but it's been amazing. You can check out those episodes or send them if you know someone who is thinking about serving an LDS mission. That series is already very near and dear to my heart, and there's an amazing download that ended up being 36 pages that you can also access in those show notes. So as I ended that series and I thought about the content I want to create for the rest of this season, I hit one of those points as a creator that maybe you can will resonate with you or you can commiserate with, one or the other. I'm not totally sure. I think the beginning of any project gets me really excited. And then when you get into, I don't know, I'm probably 50, 60 episodes in at this point, I had to ask myself the question, what am I doing all of this for? Like, is this a long-term thing? Is there going to be a season 3? Just where do I see myself being right now? And do I love it as much as I used to? And do I feel like I'm impacting lives and helping people the way that I hope I am? Obviously, all of us who are builders and creating things in our own life, there's always an opportunity cost of I could help more people in person if I wasn't doing this podcast. And anyway, just had one of those moments. If you have listened in for a while, you know I do this often. And I'm always checking in with myself and with God, like, is this still right? Is this still good? And I think that's generally a great thing to do. And I hit my knees numerous times and just was asking God, like, is this the best thing with my time? Is this where you want me, And one of those times when I hit my knees, the question was like, for what or why? And who is this for? And my mind was taken to an event a couple nights ago. I went to hear my friend Julie Taylor, who was on this podcast. Her episode, by the way, is amazing if you haven't listened to it yet. And she was doing a book launch, and it was at this big, beautiful open space in a library nearby. And what was so impressive to me about the event was her humility when she walked in and saw that that room was completely full to the brim was so beautiful. I mean, she could hardly talk for the first part. She just was so overwhelmed with seeing the faces in person that she has been speaking to online for a long time. And I could really resonate with that. I think podcasting is a funny thing because you hope you're making a difference and you see the numbers and you know people are listening to it. But actually understanding who is being impacted is a little bit hard. And would people even show up for an event? Like how tied do they feel? But what was really interesting to me and beautiful to me was they did a question and answer at the end. And when you saw these women stand up with a mic in their hands and ask their questions, you could feel that these were Julie's people. These were people who resonated exactly with her message. And she speaks a lot about grief and about navigating faith and about coming with a hopeful and believing perspective, even when sometimes you don't feel like it. And it was so amazing to see this woman in the room who was authentic and real and questioning and not ashamed and not driven by guilt and shame, being led by Julie. Like, these were her people. And it was really cool because they had found a voice that really resonated with them. And as I was praying, my mind was taken to that. And I had the thought, like, who are my women that I can uniquely impact and touch and minister to because of my life experience, right? And the things that have come to me and to our family. And I thought about that for a while. And then I pulled out a piece of paper and I wrote 3 full pages about you, about the type of woman that I see and feel called to minister to lift up, to hopefully encourage, to give guidance to bring women in the chair beside me and to give advice and encouragement. And I want to start today's episode by sharing that. I refined it a little bit. It's not 3 full pages, but it was beautiful that I could feel you so distinctly. And this audience isn't for everyone, right? But if you're here and you know it's for you, I think you're in a unique group and a beautiful group. So that's gonna be chapter 1 of this podcast. And then chapter 2, I'm going to be talking about the thing I've been teasing for the last month, about something new that we're going to be doing with social impact on this podcast that I'm so excited about. Third, chapter 3 of this little mini book we're writing here today is going to be a way that I hope to answer your questions better. So I'll be sharing a little something on that line. And then 4, I have a bonus for you. If you're listening to this episode on the week that it launches, it's actually Holy Week. I am a Christian and I practice Christianity, but I also observe Holy Week. And so today I have a little Easter blessing for you that I want to share for you specific women that I've been thinking so much about, a blessing that I think may be unique for your needs and might hopefully see you uniquely in who you are. So let's start with you. Who listens to this podcast? Who do I hope to help and minister to? And how do I hope to do it? I just want to share something I wrote, and I'm going to pull out my phone if you're watching this so that I can just read this to you. I hope as I read this, you feel seen. I really hope you feel motivated and inspired that we have a work to do. This feels more like a movement. Again, as I was praying about why am I doing this? Why am I paying to produce my own podcast? Is this making a difference? You are the type of woman I'm trying to reach, and I think we're starting a movement, and I think this is what we're supposed to do and what we can do, what we have a responsibility to do, and what I'm really excited about doing. So this is who I see in you. We live in a world that is constantly telling women who they should be and what should matter to them. We are told that happiness is found in numbers on a scale, numbers in a bank account, numbers of followers, and numbers of achievements. We are told to hustle more, buy more, look better, do more, and somehow also be perfectly balanced and perfectly happy while doing it. But I think many women quietly feel that there must be a better way to live than this, than all the more. I think there are women all over the world who don't just want a life that looks successful. They want a life that is meaningful, they want a life that is beautiful, and they want a life that matters. I think there are women all over the world who are building something with their lives. They are building homes, families, businesses, schools. They're building communities, friendships, faith. They are building other people. They are building lives that will outlive them. Much of this work is invisible. It doesn't come with promotions or applause or performance reviews. It looks like laundry and carpools and late night conversations and hard marriages and sick children and helping a friend and organizing a school event and starting something new when you're scared and trying again when something fails. It looks small day to day, but over a lifetime, it is enormous. You are the builders. Builders understand something that the world often forgets, that life happens in seasons. There are seasons for learning, seasons for working, for raising children, for building something new, for caring for parents, for rest, for rebuilding yourself. Seasons where you feel like you are planting and nothing's growing yet. Seasons when you're finally starting to see the fruit of things you planted years ago. You don't plant and harvest in the same season, and you don't have to do everything at once. Builders are long-term thinkers. They plant trees they may never sit under. They build things slowly. They build people slowly. They build lives slowly. Builders also understand that they themselves are one of the things they are building. They know how to care for their bodies and minds and spirits, not because of image or perfection or comparison, but because they want to be whole and strong and capable for the lives they are building and the people they love. They know that rest is not laziness and renewal is not weakness. They know that sometimes rest matters more than production, and they honor that with joy, not with guilt. Builders also know that the happiest people are not the people who try to protect their lives and keep everything comfortable and easy. The happiest people are the ones who give their lives to something bigger than themselves and find and feel the joy right in the middle of it. They raise children, they build families, they serve, teach, start things, help people, give, build communities. They use their gifts to make the world a little better. Real joy does not come from consuming a beautiful life. Real joy comes from building one and giving it away to something that matters more. Builders know that the world doesn't change because a few people become famous. They know that the world will change only when millions of women quietly build families, communities, businesses, schools, and people who make the world better. This podcast is for those women. This podcast is for you. The women who are trying to be intentional with their time. The women not doing it perfectly. The women who want to use their gifts, who want to raise good humans, who want strong families and strong communities. The women who want to do meaningful work in the world and meaningful work in the home. The women who are trying to listen to God more than to the world. The women who are caring a lot and loving a lot and building a lot. You are not unseen, and you're definitely not behind. You are not wasting your life, even in the seasons when nothing seems to be growing, because you are a builder and you are changing the world. And I want this podcast to help you. I hope something in there felt helpful for you to feel seen and to feel inspired that what you're doing is the only way the world is going to change and that we're going to create the world that we want to create. But also it's helped me refocus and say, this is my mission, to help those that are building, to help them find some respite, to help them find community, to help them feel seen, to bring guests on who can offer advice and patterns and different ways for them to do the work that they do without getting burnt out, to help prioritize rest. Everything I talked in there, I want to help you do it better because you are the women changing the world. So this was a great exercise for me to refocus and to help me think more about you. And I really hope if you're here listening today that you feel seen and loved and valued in the work that you are doing. So second, here comes the announcement. A few months ago, I was on an airplane. It was right before Christmas, and I brought the book, The Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And as I started reading the book, I have actually never read it. I've seen the play dozens of times probably. And I thought, I wonder more, I want more of the backstory of Charles Dickens, a little bit more about his life and why he wrote this. And I know some of his other novels and love them, but who was he as a person? So here's a little bit about Charles Dickens that was really interesting. At the age of 12, his dad went to debtor's prison. And so he had to leave school and work in a factory, much like a lot of the people that he wrote about, right? He said this was one of the most painful and humiliating experiences of his entire life. As he grew up, he was first a journalist before he was a novelist. And he believed that the work that he did as an author could do social good. Now, he probably could have been a lot of things. I don't know what his journey was and if he had some career path that was like, man, should I be a politician or should I go work in business? But he understood that the stories that he wrote could change how people think and how people behaved. So when he wrote The Christmas Carol, that book specifically influenced Victorian attitudes towards charity and generosity. It wasn't just that people saw the plight of orphans or those in debtor's prison or prostitutes. They took in the stories and then reform started to grow out of these novels, which I was so fascinated by. It was almost like as I was reading the book, I had the ghost of Charles Dickens sitting there right alongside me. And it was like he was prompting me or something was prompting me. The Holy Spirit was prompting me to say, is there good you could do with these stories that you're telling? Is there something you could do to give to these people and connect to these causes in a way that's different and maybe more than you're doing right now? Another interesting thing about Charles Dickens is he was very involved in philanthropy, and he also helped establish this cottage called Urania Cottage, which was a home for women leaving prostitution and the streets. And again, I'm just sitting there on the plane like, wow, there was so much. And of course, this over a long lifetime. And as I've just shared about you being builders and me being a builder, there are times and seasons for things. And this podcast is really time consuming. But as I sat with this thought, and sometimes, I don't know if this happens to you, I'm sure it does, as you have a thought of like, could you do this? Or is this an opportunity or possibility? If you sit and ponder on it for long enough, that door that you're looking at then opens and you're given an idea how you can do that thing. And I've seen this happen a lot. It's like a little idea gets put in my mind, but if I just stick with it long enough, the how comes as well. And that happened in this case. And all of a sudden I was sitting with a notebook and just writing all these ideas of something that we are going to try on the Lizzy Jensen Show this month that I'm going to call Share Good, Do Good. And this is a concept where we bring a cause, and we bring a sponsor into the show. And for every download of the podcast of the Lizzy Jensen Show this month, the sponsor is going to pay $1 to the cause. So the thing I love about this is it's a virtuous cycle where all of us are incentivized to do what we already want to do more, right? We want to do the thing that we're doing right now and that we're already like virtuously hoping to do a great job at, but we're incentivized to do it. So here's how it works. The sponsor wants to give to this cause, right? But the more eyes they see on the podcast, the easier it is for them because they're getting marketing spend to give. So it's like this virtuous cycle for the sponsor. The cause themselves, every time we share these podcasts, they could talk about us, they could talk about the cause. It's getting more eyes on all of us. From my perspective, I want these episodes in the month of April to be shared as much as possible because those dollars are then going to the cause. So the virtuous cycle for me is I want to have really excellent quality episodes that are really shareable, that are so helpful that you just want to share. And then the virtuous cycle for you, the listener, is that if there's an episode you love and you may share anyway, you may stop and think, well, instead of just sharing with that one friend, are there 10 other friends I could share this episode with that might benefit from it, that this is right in their wheelhouse? They need the content on this episode. And by you sharing, those are dollars right to this cause. Truly, I think Charles Dickens, the ghost of giving past, came to me with this idea, or probably God, and gave me a way to try something that I have not seen. I've been Googling this now, like, is this done in media? Is this done in marketing anywhere? I haven't seen it done. And I think this was an idea from God that I'm so excited. Now, it's going to take all of us. I really need to do a great job of my episodes, or I need to have great guests on, but the more you can share, the more good we can do. And I am so excited to see where this could go. So I'm not going to tell you yet who next month's sponsor and cause are, that you're going to be introduced to our guest in next week's episode, who is also the director of the charity and the philanthropy that we are going to be giving to. And her story is amazing. And she has so many things she's going to share with you that are going to be real-time helpful for you as women. So that's to come next week. It's going to be exciting, but maybe start thinking about it. Like, who are people that I haven't shared this episode with already, or this whole podcast with, that I know would love the show? Maybe we can listen to it as a group, or there's like a friend that we both listen to the episodes. I've heard from so many of you who are doing this, who you have like a group of friends who you listen and then you all Marco Polo about the episodes. And I really love hearing that. That's so inspiring to me and only makes me want to do what I do better. So the second point of today's episode was announcing our Share Good, Do Good campaign. We're going to try for this month, see how we like it, see how it grows, and hopefully do a lot of good for this cause that I've handpicked and I love and I'm obsessed with. And their work is all for women, so it works so well with the show. Okay, so section 3 of this episode. Are you ready for it? This is another little announcement that's something I'm just going to try. And a lot of this is actually as I'm approaching thinking about whether or not there's a season 3 of the Lizzy Jensen Show, and some other dreams that have been put into my heart since starting season 2 is I want to try something else, and we'll see where it goes and how it takes off. But I am so excited about this. One of the things that I love the most is when you ask me questions, which is typically just over on Instagram, and someone says, I would love you to tell me what you would do to prepare for a mission. That was totally the genesis of a 3-part series on missionary work that is helping thousands of girls think about and prepare for LDS missions. I've had ones about getting back into careers. I've had so many questions asked that then are really the genesis and the birthplace of the episodes I record. But it's hard to hear from all of you and to know what I can really do. And I know there are more of you who would reach out if they knew there were a better way. So I am doing a call-in line where I have a phone number that you can call in and leave a voice message, and I will be listening to every single one. If you want to just call and say, hi, what's up? Or say why you love the podcast, I'll take that too. But I would love your questions. How can I help you navigate womanhood better? How can I help you as a builder in your home, in your community, in your businesses? What are the questions that you want addressed? Who are the guests that you want to see? You can call into me and I will take all your questions. I'm going to give you the phone number right now that you can call into, and I'm also going to put this on the top of my Instagram so everybody knows that you can call me. The phone number for this line is 801-477-0699. Again, that's 801-477-0699. And you can also text that line as well. And I will get all your texts and your voice messages. And I am like so thrilled. to hear from you and to hopefully make the content that is the most shareable, that does the most good for our Share Good, Do Good campaign, but also that reaches you, our builders, the women who are changing the world. And to end today's episode, I want to leave you with the bonus that I talked about, and this is the Easter blessing. I thought about you. I thought about those of you preparing traditions for your family and the studying that you're doing personally as you worship Jesus Christ this week. And what I would want to say to you, it may be a little bit unconventional. I actually, as I started writing my hopes for you and the blessing I would want for you, I thought this is maybe a little unusual, but I think it could be beautiful if you take a minute and really think about it. This is the week when we focus on the Savior, on what he did, what he felt, and how much he loves us. And I love that more and more people in my faith are becoming very intentional on how they're celebrating Holy Week and really trying to understand him and remember him. As you've tried to understand what he felt and what he did and how much he loves us, maybe one way to understand his love a little more is to think about the love you feel for someone else. Especially if you are a mother or someone who cares deeply for someone, whether it be a child, a spouse, a parent, or a friend, I want you to think about what that love feels like. Who in your life would you wake up for in the middle of the night without hesitation every time? Who would you carry on your back when they are sick or struggling? Who would you sit next to if they were in a hospital room? Who do you worry about? Who would you sacrifice your time, your comfort, your sleep, and your energy for? Who do you love so much that their pain hurts you too, maybe even more than your own, and their joy is your joy? And then I want you to ask yourself, can you imagine that Jesus loves you like that? Not in a distant way, not in a general way, but in a very personal way. I saw something recently that pointed out that at the Last Supper, Jesus said, "This is my body broken for you." And I thought about how mothers feed their children with their own bodies. They grow them with their own bodies and their own time, their own energy, and their own likes and interests. They lay it all down for their children. There is something about that kind of giving and nourishing and sacrificing that feels very sacred and very connected to him. So my Easter blessing for you is this: that the work in your life that is often invisible, the loving, the caring, the feeding, the worrying, the teaching, the comforting, the building, the sacrificing, that maybe that work will actually be the work that ties you to him and reminds you of him. That in the moments when you are tired because you were up with someone you love, you might think of him. That in the moments when you are worried about someone you love, you might think of him. That in the moments when you are sacrificing for someone else, that it will bring you to him. And that maybe through the love you feel for others, this Easter, you might understand his love for you just a little bit more. My Easter prayer for you is that as you try to remember him and honor him this week, that there might be a magnification of joy in your life that you weren't expecting. Not because your life suddenly becomes easier, but because you begin to see that the love, the sacrifice, and that the work you're doing in your own life is deeply meaningful, deeply seen, and most of all, deeply connected to him. So as a reminder, next week starts the beginning of the month, which means we get to begin our Share Good, Do Good campaign. Each month, we're going to highlight a cause and an organization that's doing real good in the world. And for that entire month, every single podcast download will equal $1 directly donated to that organization by our sponsor. So simply by listening, you're helping do good in the world. For the month of April, we'll be supporting an organization, here's a hint, that helps women gain the confidence, skills, and support they need to return to the workplace and support themselves and their families. Next week, we'll introduce our guest and share more about the organization. And most of all, we are going to be sharing how this organization can impact you. And we'll also be unveiling our sponsor for the month, who is making every dollar of donation possible. I love the idea that we're not just building our own lives here. We're helping build someone else's too. Thanks for being here, and I will see you next week.